Bossier Dam is one that's very difficult to see or hear. It's much like an infinity pool. The dam sneaks up on you. It is quiet, it is ominous. But by the time they got upon the water or got to the dam, it was too late. Sarah, we think, went first. Lauren went second. The rest of them followed suit, and 10 people and a dog came up, and Lauren and Sarah did not. We walked the river until 3 a.m., calling her name, hearing the water. I never thought that I would have to pull my daughter out of this river 2 days after she went missing because of a dam like Bossier.
Christina Brockwell's pain can be as invisible and as ferocious as the water tumbling just under the surface of this Virginia dam, the one that trapped her daughter Lauren in its current and rolled her lifeless.
And Lauren's not here. And if she was, she'd sit in this chair and she would fight to make sure that none of her friends or no one else ever had this happen.
What happened to Lauren Winstead could happen to anyone. The river she loved and spent countless happy days on was hiding a bold and blatant killer in plain sight. Like many people across the country, Lauren was unaware of a danger lurking downstream. A man-made structure found in rivers, creeks, and streams meant to control the flow of water. Officially, they're known as lowhead dams. They become drowning machines.
Then the only thing you can do to save lives is make sure that you get rid of the risk.
That risk exists pretty much anywhere in the country where there's a lowhead dam, but there's no national inventory from the federal government, and less than a third of states are actually tracking where they're located. So independent researchers have been the ones to pinpoint at least 13,000 lowhead dams across the country. So let's go down to the ground level to see how they're so deceptively dangerous. They often look almost peaceful, attractive to swim in, but more than 1,000 people have drowned at lowhead dams in the U.S., as many as 50 a year, because of a scientific phenomenon that turns a picturesque waterfall into an often inescapable prison.
Creates what's called a hydraulic, and there's a backwash where it actually rolls back on itself. And it's almost like being in a washing machine where this is continuously turning you over. So you may get up here and be able to get a gulp of air, and it brings you right back down.
Pushed down under an extremely powerful boil that Tom Smith knows even the strongest swimmers are often powerless to fight. As executive director of the American Society of Civil Engineers, he's an expert at understanding the mechanics that make lowhead dams almost undefeatable.
And just look at how fast the water on the surface is moving back towards the structure.
This demonstration from Brigham Young University illustrates exactly how it happens.
And this shows why this current is just so dangerous.
For us as civil engineers, health and safety is paramount. And when we see the number of drownings, the flags need to go up. But this is a real issue. And at a minimum, we have got to make sure that people are educated on how severe this is.
It's a lesson being learned one tragedy at a time, as drowning machines at lowhead dams take lives across the nation.
On June 16th, 5 people drowned after falling over the Duke Energy Dam while tubing on the Dan River.
I never knew that there was a tumbler that came off the fall.
Didn't realize that in a split second the water can raise and it becomes a killing machine. It'll just pull you in and you can't get out.
And research shows Good Samaritans and first responders are often the ones killed in drownings at lowhead dams. A deadly 1975 rescue in New York still resonating as a cautionary tale and training lesson half a century later. We're choosing to stop this video, which shows the boat carrying first responders flipped by the current and dragged under the water.
I don't care who you are when you're on this job, you have 100% respect for this dam and its capabilities to absolutely annihilate a human life.
Brian Enterline has had more than 2 decades to fully grasp the power of a lowhead dam.
The force of the water in there is extreme.
The force is unbelievable.
In Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, where Enterline is fire chief, a low-head dam spans the entire river that runs through the city.
We've unfortunately put several of our firefighters over the dam, and miraculously they survived.
Many others have not been as fortunate. Harrisburg has the distinction of having the deadliest low-head dam in the country, with at least 30 deaths, one as recently as April 2023.
Why is it still here?
To take the dam out, to totally eliminate the dam, the water level here in Harrisburg would be unnavigable with any type of boat.
Deadly low-head dams remain in place nationwide for many reasons: to maintain water levels or to deal with recreation or environmental needs. Some are decades old, no longer needed, but with owners that are private, unknown, or in dispute. So controversy and the cost of removal or remediation are also key factors in why some are kept around, even as the body count increases.
Our national investigative team looked at 25 communities across the country with the deadliest low-head dams, accounting for more than 220 deaths. We could only confirm about a third of the problematic dams in these areas had been removed altogether or had major changes that eliminated the risk. But those permanent solutions we found, some of them took as long as a decade to complete.
In Maryland, one low-head dam removal project at a site with 9 deaths took 7 years start to finish, with at least 1 fatality added as officials worked through the planning and permitting. Enterline says Harrisburg's been talking about options to save lives as long as he's been on the force, including large permanent buoys that could be a last resort for anyone heading toward the dam. For now, the city relies on temporary buoys Enterline showed us. They're put in the water every year. Still, he says he's seen many people ignore them.
And it's amazing to me that when you're looking downstream, you don't see any trace of this thing at all.
No, you don't. It is just like the horizon, right? The exact same thing. You don't really see where the end of it is, and unfortunately, it's right there.
In Pennsylvania, signage warning about low-head dams and their dangers is required by state law. But our investigation found that's rare, even for states where people have died, including Virginia, where more than 20 people, including Lauren Winstead, have drowned at low-head dams. We're told concerns about responsibility for the dam or liability if something happens can fuel resistance to simply letting people know the risk.
What do you think about the fact that liability plays into whether or not people want to put out a warning for something that could kill someone?
I think if you're truly worried about liability, the only thing you can do is warn people. You cannot just throw the dice and chance whether or not someone's going to encounter this and possibly die there.
After her daughter's death, Christina Brockwell fought to get signage in the last place Lauren could have come out of the water before that friendly float turned all their lives upside down.
But if I can keep even one other person, one other family from going through something like that, where we may have been able to create a different outcome, then it's worth it.
It's a heavy burden to carry, though.
Yeah, I guess so. It's the cost of love.
A never-ending tax on the heart from a mother trying to keep anyone else from an agonizing wait by the river, wondering whether a drowning machine has spun its latest tragic tale.